Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a video covering the Kiwi ears Forteza, my impressions of them for a gaming related purpose. For aesthetic reasons, I just have to flat out start with the fact that this IEM is absolutely beautiful. You've got that nice green and blue sparkle cut down the middle of the faceplate with that Kiwi ears logo there, and that smoky blue resin chassis with everything being transparent for you to be able to see that one balanced armature as well as the two dynamic drivers. For the price point, it is a interesting driver configuration, and it is a very nice fitting resin shell, one that I found comfortable. But I think for a music listening perspective, for my music library, there were a few things that I just found to be a little bit too sibilant, and a lot of that has to do with the tuning on this particular IEM. I think there's a particular region that is a little bit overemphasized, a little bit too over accentuated, leading to a little bit of harshness and fatigue carried over into gaming with many things in different games, such as grenades and certain guns. And I think gunfire becomes a little bit too elevated on this particular set at its default tuning. I think if you are someone who is willing to EQ these, I think you might be able to get a lot out of them, because overall the sound that these produce actually is quite good, separate and apart from the fatigue I experienced. Overall, I do think that for gaming, they were okay. The soundstage is a little bit broad in Valorant, and I think that it somewhat makes you lose out on getting that accentuated, urgent hit on the audio cues that are happening around you. I like and prefer something like a Yanyan Cannon 2, the Truth or Critical Zero. The soundstage feels a little bit closer, but not too close, not too far. And when things are happening around you, you hear them with an emphasis and an urgency with better depth and better localization for you to know what to focus on with more urgency. The soundstage being a little bit broad in Valorant does make depth feel a little bit off. I did feel that depth could be a little bit better. And separate and apart from the depth, which is still quite good, and the imaging was okay, the gunshots for certain things just were too overemphasized. And when there's a lot of that audio cue going on at the same time, separation does become a problem, because that stage feels a little bit broader, and then the footsteps kind of get away from you when other things are going on, such as the default pistol, the operator, grenades going off. Things like that are just very piercing, very punchy, and do overcome the subtleties of things that are happening around you. And I think for those reasons, with the same price range, having the Truth or Critical Zero, the SimGod EM6L, a little bit above that at $110 is what is going to put this down for me and not allow me to place this on the Wallhack certification tier list. I think they're okay, but I think that you would have to be the type of person who is going to work on these and EQ down that harshness a little bit. Getting to Apex, that broadness in the soundstage is not quite as big of an issue as it is in tac shooters, in my opinion. I think that there's just a lot more that happens at a further range, and the depth is okay. The imaging was okay. I think that the imaging on some of the other sets is still a little bit better. But in Apex as well, there's things that are just so overemphasized with different audio cues. 301 flatline, grenades going on, armor getting pierced, certain high-pitched in the treble region things that are overemphasized and piercing and a little bit distracting as they are going on because of how piercing they are. In third-party scenarios, with a lot of those audio cues going on, again, the separation takes a hit, and just mixed with that stage, again, things do get quite away from you compared to other sets. Again, for that reason, I think that they're okay and just not something that reaches the Wallhack certification for me. Taking them into Rainbow Six Siege and Fortnite as well, I think they're okay in Fortnite. For Rainbow Six Siege, not my top recommendation. I think that for Rainbow Six Siege, I like having things with a little bit more emphasis in the mid-bass region. I think there's a lot of audio cues with a fairly closer soundstage that you begin to pick up on quite a bit more, which Jinxie has taught us that The audio cues in Rainbow Six Siege are exceptionally important. The Yanyan Cannon 2, I think, is just, for that game in particular, just kills things that are lower at on my table right now, lower price points, and is just exceptionally good. There are definitely games, I think, like BRs that are a little bit more forgiving than something like Rainbow Six Siege or tac shooters for different things. Separation is very important in BRs. In tac shooters, I think the most important thing is really having an accurate depth read horizontally and vertically. And I just think that the Truth or Critical Zero up to that $50 price point is probably still my number one up through that range. And then the SimGod EM6L, if you have a little bit more to spend with that Harman curve, I think performs better than the Truth or Critical Zero. If you have the budget to start at the EM6L, I probably would. Or if you just want to take a deep dive initially, the Yanyan Cannon 2 is exceptional. And I think just a few percentage points under what is a little bit more expensive, the Zen's top. I think I would probably direct you to the Yanyan Cannon 2 to save a little bit of money, and then maybe save for a really nice Kilobuck IEM if you are really deep down the rabbit hole like me, or put the money to a amp deck. But I think still the Zen's top I have over the Cannon 2. It's just that the difference in the percentage points is a bit slim. The Yanyan Cannon 2 is just exceptional. And for my top of each of those price brackets, I think these are my top three for 2023. Up to $50, the Truth or Critical Zero. Up to $100, the SimGod EM6L. And then up through $350, that mid-range area, the Yanyan Cannon 2. Unfortunately, the Forteza, as beautiful as they are, again, I think they could work. I think you'd have to work on them and EQ them down a little bit. For me, just too fatiguing and a little bit distracting in terms of emphasizing gunshots as opposed to those other subtle audio cues that are happening around you, causing, again, separation to take a little bit of a hit and losing out on the nice micro subtleties that we need to listen to in game. Just to quickly show you guys before we conclude what you get in the box as well, the goodies that you get actually are pretty typical from Kiwi ears. You get the carrying case that is, I believe, the same with a lot of their other IEMs. It gets the job done. It is an adequate carrying case if you're going to be taking them on the go. And you get 3 different sets of ear tips: black, you get the gray and red, and the white. For me, the fish mouth nozzles are very impacted by ear tips. You can increase the capabilities of your IEM for competitive purposes. I found that my SpinFit W1s fit well and were much more comfortable and also performed better than the default ear tips. So keep that in mind if you are to get something that has a fish mouth nozzle, that the sound can be benefited with certain third-party tips, and it's worth evaluating and worth testing. That is going to be it for this one, guys. I hope it helped. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.